people, all life, all love. I am one with it all, one with the all of it all. I am one with it all, one with the all of it all. All health, all compassion, all peace, all joy. I am one with it all, one with the all of it all. I am one with it all. All that is good, all that is beautiful, all that is pure, all that is bountiful. I am one with it all, one with the all of it all. I am one with it all, one with the all of it all. All things, all people, all life, all love. I am one with it all, one with the all of it all. I am one with it all, one with the all of it all. All that is good, all that is beautiful, all that is pure, all that is bountiful. I am one with it all, one with the all of it all. I am one with it all, one with the all of it all. The all of it all is all that there is. The all of it all is all that there is. The all of it all is all that there is. The all of it all is all that there is. I am one with it all, one with the all of it all. I am one with it all, one with the all of it all. I am one with it all, one with the all of it all. I am one with it all, one with the all of it all.
Welcome. My name is Arla Studley Cash, and I am a member of the Board of Trustees here at the Center for Spiritual Living, West Hawaii, and my pronouns are she, her. In the spirit of aloha, I welcome you to our Sunday celebration. As we open our service, we acknowledge that in West Hawaii, we honor the rich and ancient heritage of Kanaka Maoli, the native people of Hawaii. We honor all communities, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. At CSL West Hawaii, we discover the truth of who we are through our center's vision of contributing to an emerging world by supporting humanity's awareness to its spiritual connection. We support this vision through our mission, which is to be joyfully accepting, serving, and compassionate ohana, focused on holistic and mindful community growth through spiritual principles and practices. The spiritual truth is that we all belong to each other, and this calls for us to be inclusive, to celebrate and embrace our unique identities, ability status, age, ethnicity, gender identity, national origin, physical characteristics, race, religion, and sexual orientation. I invite you now to set an intention for this week. Take a deep breath. Allow yourself to sink into that feeling of that intention right now as you open to receive Spirit's guidance throughout our time today. As our founder, Dr. Ernest Holm, taught, in principle, the great religions of the world do not differ as much as they appear to. That is why we take time each week to recognize and honor a variety of religions as sacred paths to God. I now invite Kim to lead us in the lighting of the flames of faith.
Thank you, Arliss. We perform this ceremony each Sunday to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. And fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all spiritual thought and experience, which we honor here today. So we light a candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light a candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light a candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light a candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light a candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light a candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light a candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light a candle for the native traditions, including, of course, the Hawaiian culture, honoring the beliefs and practice of all indigenous peoples and the way of primal spirituality and the spirit in all of creation. We light a candle for Confucianism, honoring the path of deliberate tradition. And we light a candle for Shintoism, honoring the path of optimism and the inherent goodness of all humanity. We light a candle for Akan, honoring the path of the divine, the ancestors, and nature. We light a candle for science of mind, honoring the path of adherence to the universal spiritual law and transformation through commitment to our spiritual practices. We light all these candles for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We also light these candles as healing candles. So you may, if you choose, Put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experienced the healing flames of God's eternal love. We invite you to hold sacred any and all faiths and all their multiplicity by knowing love as the highest power that guides them all. Namaste. And so it is.
Thank you, Kim, for leading us in the lighting of the flames of faith. We realize that today's trends offer up many options of spiritual soul food, and we are grateful that you drop in to visit us today. We welcome you, and if you are with us for the first time, please consider joining in at the end of the service for our after chat, a time to connect and explore today's message a little further. And we'd love it if you would put your email address in the chat so that we can better welcome you, along with any other comments and insights that you would like to share as our service unfolds. So now let us engage in spiritual practice together. We invite you to settle in, center yourself in this moment, and find that sacred place within, where spirit is all there is. Our centering time today will be led by Kim Schneider, but first, we begin with affirmative prayer. Please join me in consciousness, knowing there is only one life, one mind, one all creative force and infinite intelligence, known as God, Spirit, Love, Ka'aka, the Divine. This one mind is the originating cause of all life seen and unseen, known and unknown. It is the substance from which I am, the energy that moves me, sustains me, nurtures me into greater expansion of expression, so it may know through experience the fullness of itself. I speak my word for the part of me in the universe known as the multiple expressions within humanity, as I contemplate my place within this universe. I remember that God is ultimately energy and motion, all of it, whole, complete, and perfect in and of itself. Creating through the law of its being, this one life moves about boundless and harmonious, pouring the fullness of its nature into all creation. It is with this knowing that I recognize that speaking truth to circumstance means that nothing outside of me has any power over me except that which I give it. Circumstances are not entities of themselves, and change and morph correspondingly to how I perceive myself in relationship with them. I fully embrace that the cosmic spiritual principles which govern the unseen, infinite intelligence are operating in my life now, as they are through all circumstance, and therefore I confidently, with an intention of love, meet and dissolve any and all perceived enemies. I stand in nonviolent resistance as a rebel for love, as the one true cause back of all life. I am a spiritual activist transforming my mind's attachments and need for control into a willingness to be guided by love's divine wisdom. I claim this by accepting love's presence and transformative power working through me now. With deep appreciation for the allness of God as the one life, inspired by love and the law of its being that continues to reveal this truth, I release anything obstructing me from cultivating the loving acceptance for the presence of Ka'aka as me, here and now. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Arliss. So this meditation helps you change the way that you look at life, and small changes eventually lead to big changes. So join me in taking a deep cleansing breath. The night is dark. The air is crisp and cool. You go outside and you look up. There are millions and millions of stars shining down upon you. You don't ever remember seeing so many stars before. You walk over to a comfortable lounge chair and lie down. You look up at the stars. You put your hands behind your head and you relax. The sky is black and the stars twinkle magically. There is a timeless quality to them, with no beginning and no end. You look into the infinity of space. As you watch a falling star streak across the sky, you feel connected to everyone and everything. You take a deep breath, wishing upon a star, and know all things are possible. You spend a few more minutes looking up, and for a moment you wonder who's looking down at you. You smile, and your sense of connectedness deepens. Please use this meditation often. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Kim, for that beautiful time of spiritual practice. Would you like to have more of that sacred spiritual connection? Our minister is here to support you in learning to live from this place. Please reach out to our amazing Reverend Nadine Rogers at prayer.cslwh@gmail.com. Today is Live Music Sundays, and joining us, we have with us Ivan Boudreau. Ivan is a professional musician and songwriter and wandering minstrel for over 45 years, and we sure hope he wanders his way to Hawaii. With deep roots in Nova Scotia, youthful years in Boston, Toronto, who now calls British Columbia home. His driving passion for stories and songs that are honest and heartfelt are evident in his music. He says that music and songs keep me alive. Please help me welcome Ivan.
Thanks, Arliss. It's a song called Love, Grace, and Gratitude. Young man sitting on a bench in the rain, hats on the ground, waits for spirit change. Ask him how he's doing, look him in the eyes. Everybody needs a little love in their life. Live with love, love with grace. Put a smile on a stranger's face. Little things you say and do. With love, grace, and gratitude. Tells me he's hoping every nickel and dime will help buy blankets 'cause it's cold outside. There's not enough beds to keep his friends warm. A little bit of kindness never does any harm. Live with love, love with grace. Put a smile on a stranger's face. Little things you say and do. With love, grace, and gratitude. Share some love along the way. come back to you someday. We yearn for things we haven't got, live too fast, race the clock. For all the joy that we've been through, there's nothing wrong with gratitude. So live with love, love with grace, put a smile on a stranger's face, little things you say and do, with love, grace, and gratitude.
Oh, that was fantastic. We all have to unmute and give a big woohoo for that. That was wonderful. Woohoo! Thank you so much, Ivan. Oh,
Hello. Oh,
wonderful.
Oh no.
And now continuing our July theme of speaking truth to circumstance, I am delighted to introduce today's speaker, Reverend Dr. Nadine Rogers, our interim senior minister, with her message, Rebel with a Cause. Please help me welcome Reverend Nadine.
Hello, aloha, Center for Spiritual Living, West Hawaii. It's so good to be with you today. Oh, love, grace, and gratitude. Thank you so much, Ivan. And thank you, Kim, as well, for that great meditation. Welcoming everyone tuning in from far and wide. It's really good to be here with you this morning. You know, here at CSL West Hawaii, we learn how to apply practical spirituality in our everyday lives based on the teachings of Dr. Ernest Holmes. Now, Dr. Holmes summarizes his teaching as the science of mind and spirit being a correlation of the laws of science, opinions of philosophy, and revelations of world religions applied to human needs and the aspirations of each person. And, you know, as we study and practice this teaching, I know for me, I've learned to be a student of humility, I would say, and awe, really, in the vast power for good and potential that lives within me and, of course, within this world. I think we come to understand, all of us, as we walk each other home, that what we teach is known by how we live, and that how we live definitely becomes our prayer. You know, continuing this month's theme, speaking truth to circumstance, reminds me where the power for change lies, and that I am free, always, at every moment, to lay down the conditions that off-center me by leaning into and aligning with the true nature of all being, which is my being, which is love, grace. We got to work for that gratitude piece, though, don't we? You know, for much of my life, I want to share a little bit about this, about me, because we're talking about rebel for a cause. And I've always seemed to clash with societal institutions and authority figures, you know, in my inner self-talk, not so much in my outer actions. However, people always say you can tell exactly how I feel because it's on my face, no matter what my words may be saying. In primary school, I always hid in the back, close to the exit, you know, never really participating because I had thoughts that people were trying to brainwash me by their beliefs and perceptions, right? And I was very susceptible and intimidated by authority figures. And growing up, I seemed rather allergic to organized religion and government. You know, and after my school years were over, I was really never one to challenge authority through protesting, but I did openly engage in acts of civil disobedience, like underage drinking, breaking all curfews, refusing to pay the many speeding tickets that I got, whether I was driving sober or impaired. In short, for the first 33 years of my life, I fully embraced the identity of, I would say, a social rebel. And man, I wore that hat well. I was a rebel without a cause back then. However, that wasn't to last. Through the exhaustion of fighting against the rules of others, I started to reflect on the need to transition from being that social rebel to a soul rebel, or a rebel with a cause. As I deepen my own spiritual journey, I see that the greatest of all rebellions is the one found within. Through conquering the seeds of delusion that feed into our illusion of separateness. To commit oneself through overcoming one's own egotistic habits of thought and action is to truly go against the stream, and is the very essence of what being a soul rebel means. One could even say a soul rebel may do more in terms of impacting change for the world than the social rebel could ever dream of. There's a profound story from the late and great spiritual teacher Ram Dass, and it speaks to this point. I wanted to share this with you. On his first trip to India in 1966 to 67, Ram Dass recalls how he spent a deeply contemplative 6-month period in the temple of his beloved guru, Neem Karoli Baba. Now, while there, he relates in some of his lectures and writings an incident when he received a letter from his good friend back in America. And the letter that the friend detailed spoke of the intense nature of the political protests he'd been attending and the beatings he endured at the hands of police. Now, that friend just happened to be the famous beatnik poet. Some of you probably know who I'm going to say, Allen Ginsberg. Ram Dass recalls finishing the letter and wondering, who were the real revolutionaries? Was it those like Ginsberg who were protesting in the streets, or was it the inner revolutionaries like himself who had withdrawn from the game, so to speak, to tend to their own being? So like Ram Dass, I find myself reflecting on the same point, often, day in and day out. Am I doing better for the world by fighting against unjust authority structures at every chance I get? Or am I of greater service to the world through deepening my own spiritual path and polishing my own mirror? I'm strongly coming to believe in the latter. This, my friends, is a very hard question, especially in these times, but one, nevertheless, must answer it for themselves and feel comfortable with their decision. Now, having said this, I don't want to imply that there's no place in our society for the social rebel. Without a doubt, there's a great value in calling truth to power and standing up against injustice, particularly when the victims of that injustice are lacking a voice. You know, after all, even Ram Dass got thrown out of Harvard University for experimenting with psychedelics and regularly attended political protests. And of course, some of the greatest social reformers of the 20th century, such as Martin Luther King Jr., Mahatma Gandhi, the Dalai Lama, and the reggae legend Bob Marley, we'll throw him in there, were no doubt considered social rebels of their time. However, what also separated each of these men from others was the way they spoke truth to power from the soul plane. At the root of their activism was an unwavering commitment to their own spiritual work and the dedication of the fruits of their labor to the service of God. At their core, each of these inspiring beings was first and foremost a soul rebel. It's easy to rail against all that we see is wrong with the world and with those acting in positions of power. But it's harder to conquer those inner demons that prevent us from seeing our own Buddha nature and connection to the invisible whole of creation. I'd contend that it's this illusion of separation that must be overcome within each of us for any real change in the social, political sphere to occur. We should all aspire then to make the evolutionary leap in consciousness from being a social rebel to a soul rebel. Now, the soul rebel seems to combine both the spiritual rebel and the spiritual activist as defined in Wikipedia. And yes, I'm going to share those definitions with you now. A spiritual rebel, the true freedom, the one of the spiritual rebel is a deep freedom. It is a freedom to act according to what is right for one's own soul. It means making sure that your motivations for your actions are coming from within, from your soul, and not being imposed from without. And the spiritual activist is defined as, spiritual activism is most often described as being separate from organized religion or dogma, but rather as activism that is generally egalitarian, particularly in service for people who are oppressed or marginalized, as well as for the earth and all living things. The embrace of the path of the spiritual activist enables individuals or groups to develop the noble qualities of compassion, wisdom, and gratitude. It is in itself a path of transformation, a spiritual blueprint for living. Now, we are given to strive to attain or earn our rightful stripes as human beings. And we keep a dualistic perspective on life, all the while hungering to discover our true nature and its unlimited potential of expression and experience, to bring us into collaboration and symmetry with the universe, with its profound joy as discovered in unification with others. Now imagine if we stop that trajectory and live not as if, but as this holy, holy one, a rebel with a cause. What an uprising there would be. You know, to align with the power and presence within as creative cause to our own experience, then to be part of a cause, a vision, a calling is soul stimulating, and often it is what attracts us to unite together. The energy and power of a collective conscious intention brings unknown expansion of experience, broadening of perspective, and an excitement of growth. It can support us in transforming from our own attachments, needs for control, and expectations into a greater willingness to be guided by divine wisdom, not only of ourselves, but of the divine wisdom of the group itself. It is very powerful. Dr. Holmes states, actively advance your faith by your moving largely in the highest truth as your truth, and create each thought and intend each action from a fearless, selfless, and poised position. And let's add a pinch of our brave hearts and rebel spirits just to keep it real tasty. I love exploring the rebel within, don't you? I mean, it's that part of us that dares ourselves to reach beyond and learn to love the mystery through having faith in an all-knowing, all-loving, infinite intelligence. That is first cause back to all of that which exists. And when I say rebel, I'm not solely pointing to being a freedom fighter or a fighter for a just and equitable world. I'm talking about being a true rebel in the sense of standing for something and against nothing. Choosing our own release from ill-fitting mental constructs that don't belong to us, and rather suiting up with the power of our inherent birthright to be fully awake, fully giving, fully expressed and alive. To stand for this right for all humanity in a way that once again sings the refrain of, I am for this and I am not against that. I stand for this, but not against that. This stand is what journeying into the mystery of our minds, our souls, and our spirits is all about. It is the fervent, ever-present calling that won't stop until we answer that call. But we can't be a rebel with a cause and speak truth to circumstance unless we speak truth to ourselves and take a stand for our freedom to be who we are. Even if we are somewhere in the middle of the muck and the mire, feeling lost and questioning our sanity, as the old us begins to peel away like the skin of a snake. Holmes, and I quoted, stated, "Man does not exist for the purpose of making an impression upon his environment. He does exist to express itself, himself, herself, in and through their environment." There is a great difference here. We needn't leave a legacy. All that means anything while we live, he says, is that we live. All that means anything while we live is that we live. And a soul rebel is devoted to the high watch of their own understanding and leads a life through expressing from intention and purpose. And the most palpitating quality, I think, that motivates the expression of purpose, Ivan sang about it, is love. Speak the truth to circumstance in love, relentlessly. Don't give up, for that in and itself, if you give up, is an act of violence against the self. I want to share with you a short story of an evangelical Christian gay rights activist named Reverend Mel White. He was a very successful ghostwriter. And he wrote about wrestling with the angels, living a lie he felt he was doing, because he continued writing until he could no longer deny that he himself was an accessory to fueling the gay hate crimes in America. So on one Sunday, he took a stand. And on that same Sunday, he was cut off from the life he had known. He became the news with the media. They said he wrote an autobiography. It was on New York's bestseller list. And his purpose was to create a book that helped people understand that they should be really clear to love their enemy for their sake. But what he was really saying in the deeper text of his book was that we were not to love our enemy for our sake. We were to love our enemy for the sake of the truth that we believe in. So not for our ego self, but for the sake of the truth we believe in. So I ask you this question: what is it? What is it in your lives that you have kept maybe secret of what you believe in, that is actually actively stopping you from the place of faith and joy in the guiding of your soul rebel? What is it that you believe about yourself that causes the rebel or newly expressed truth within you to see it as civil disobedience rather than divine obedience? So begin by setting right in action into motion. And here's a step that you can take today in being a rebel to your common ground of thoughts and light the fire to your own cause of being. It's a way you can open the doors to live like you have only dreamed possible before. I'm going to share something with you in a moment, but my question again to you is, can you be willing to give your life that person you believe you are for a greater existence? Can you be willing to give your life of the person that you believe you are up for a greater existence? So here's what I wanted to share with you. That as a rebel with a cause, we get out of our own way of being not enough. We let go of lack and limitation and stop to invoke the compassionate heart, the bodhicitta or awakened heart, that soft spot that lives to love. And when we do this, we pause to disarm the enemy's strategy, whether egotistically based patterns or the unrecognizable and seemingly uncontrollable force that may be attacking us in our perception from outside of us. As the rebel with a cause, we don't always have to just do something. We can stand there. Speaking the truth of circumstance relentlessly with love, through standing for our truth, the spiritual truth of all humanity, and sometimes not by just doing something, but by practicing standing there, which is also known as nonviolent resistance. I'm going to leave you now with some methods useful in practicing standing for yourself and against no one. In the Buddhist way, it is referred to as holding our seat, or being it as the peace of the God of our understanding. Method number one, not setting up ourselves as the target for arrows. As we set up a target, we strengthen the habit of anger, and plenty of arrows will come our way. And each time we act on our anger or suppress it, we escalate our own aggression. Method number two, connecting with our hearts. So through connecting with the kindness and compassion that is already present within, we sit with the intensity of anger and let its energy humble us and build our stores of compassion. Method number three, see obstacles as teachers. So in whatever comes to us as a challenge, we are given the opportunity to call up the teacher within that guides us not to speak or act in the same old, often neurotic ways. It encourages us also not to repress or disassociate so as not to sow the seeds of further suffering, of separation. And right at the point where we're about to blow our tops or withdraw into oblivion, we can remember this. We are the spiritual warriors in training, being taught how to sit with edginess and discomfort. And we are challenged to remain and relax right where we are. And the fourth method, regarding all that occurs as a dream, regarding all that occurs as a dream. As the science of mind so eloquently speaks of the effect of our making as changeable through freedom of choice, so are we reminded it is we, the thinker behind the thought, that gives meaning to our world, both inside and out. So look upon the distasteful as a dream, holding your seat in the rightful place of the power you have to change your own mind so that you can remain centered within the soul rebel. The omnipresence of perfect mind is the reality of being. Its unceasing action as ideas in our consciousness is not only our pure salvation, but ultimately a most powerful elixir for impacting and transforming the suffering of humanity and the blights on Mother Earth. So join me. Be a rebel with a cause. A new cause in mind that sets first your soul on fire and next beholds the presence in the potentiality of all creation. And so it is. Malama Poema.
Thank you so much, Reverend Nadine. I love that. Be a rebel with a cause. Let's see here. We now have our live music again. This is so exciting. I love it when we have live music. So once again, I get to welcome Ivan. Take it away.
Thanks, Arliss. This is a song called Just a Little Grace. I think it flows very naturally into what we just listened to. Oh, the days are long and the nights seem to go on and on. Each hour lasts just a little bit longer. Some days the sun don't shine into this heart of mine, so I pray to be much stronger. 'Cause if I had the strength of a mighty redwood tree, if I had the wisdom my elders gave to me, and if I had the patience of a farmer planting seeds, a little more faith, just a little grace, I would find the things I need. My old man's good advice, didn't listen much, paid no mind, went my own way, made my own mistakes. I followed down the road he walked, remember when the ways he taught now guides me in the choices that I make. If I had the strength of a mighty redwood tree, if I had the wisdom my elders gave to me, and if I had the patience of a farmer planting seeds, a little more faith, just a little grace, I would find the things I need. Never liked to wait, chasing down dreams seemed to be my fate, wishing tomorrow would soon be yesterday. Never got to smell the flowers as I counted down the hours. I should have stopped along the way. If I had the strength of a mighty redwood tree, if I had the wisdom my elders gave to me, if I had the patience of a farmer planting seeds, a little more faith, just a little grace, I would find the things I need. Little more faith, just a little grace, I would find the things I need.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being here today. You can find out more about Ivan's music at ivanboudreau@bandcamp.com. And please join us next Sunday as we come together virtually to continue our theme of speaking truth to circumstance with two of New Thought's favorite speakers, Reverends Andy and Bonnie Anderson, speaking the wise spiritual warrior. And now it's time for our conscious giving, an opportunity to participate in the law of circulation. We know that you have to receive as well as give. So we invite you to let your divine inner wisdom choose the blessing of joy that calls to you, whether it's one on the screen or something from your higher self. Please keep it with you all week long and remember how much you are loved. Wonderful. Now we can come and complete the law of circulation by giving back. I invite you to invoke the feeling of gratitude through thoughts of infinite possibility right where you are, allowing that to fill you and the space around you. Thank you for all of the ways that you support this center and the community, whether it's in the form of a donation, your time, or by sharing your positive light out into the world. And now let us speak our prosperity affirmation together. This gift I give is God in action. I give it in love. I give it in joy. I give it knowing that it is given again. I give it in gratitude. And so I graciously give. And so it is. We offer you easy ways to donate your offering. You can make a donation through the website, cslwh.org, or by sending a check to the address on the slide. We gratefully receive your gifts and tithes. Your support allows us to connect with each other to create a center where we can thrive and learn to contribute to a world that works for everyone. And last but not least, here are a variety of ways to connect and engage in community. We have the summer book study, which I know a lot of people are so excited for, and I certainly wish I could be participating. It's a 6-week book study on Wednesday morning, starting July 19th to the 26th. And then, July 19th to 26th, August 2nd and the 13th and 23rd and 30th from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Gather around to uncover the great insights into yourself and the world and the universe. Get inspired by the metaphysical discussions and group wisdom. It's $40 to register. The book that's being covered is Open Your Mind to Receive by Catherine Ponder. And we already have 9 people registered. So if you want to join the group and dive a little deeper, please join in. We also have the Ohana Sunset Meetup, which I've been telling everyone it's tonight, but it's not. I was completely wrong. It is July 23rd, which is next Sunday from 4:30 to 6 p.m. at Spencer Beach Park. Bring poo-poos and refreshments to share. We had so much fun last time. We can't wait to see you there next Sunday. And we also have the after chat. So please stay on after for the after chat. We always have an amazing time getting to know each other better and diving deeper into the Sunday message with Dr. Reverend Nadine. So now I would like, on behalf of our entire community, thank you for being a part of our spiritual family today. We look forward to seeing you again. Please stay around for the after chat directly after our closing prayer and the peace song. It's now my pleasure to introduce once again Reverend Nadine to close our service with an affirmative prayer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arliss. I love what Ivan's saying. If we had just a little more faith and just a little bit of grace, we will find the things we are looking for. And so I'd like to invite you into consciousness to hold that for yourself, knowing and say with me, I have just that little bit more of faith and that little bit more of grace, and I have already found the thing or the things I was looking for. Knowing that as we claim and we put our word into the universal law of action, which is impersonal and affirmative and always reflects back in correspondence to the belief and energy or conviction with that belief, what our desire is, it does return to us, press down and multiply. And so let us go forward into this week knowing that that's how the universe works. And this is how we roll as a soul rebel for a cause. Blessings on your life. You are a blessing, and blessings on this world that we all give and receive from. And so it is. Amen.
And so it is. Again, thank you for coming today. We look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We look forward to seeing you next week.